everybody. Woo! Schmitty, we are back in studio.
Yes, we are.
For episode 104 of the Bowfishing Buzz. I'm jacked up. I hope you're jacked up.
I'm ready to rock and roll, Matthew. I am ready.
Because it seems like forever since we've been up here in the studio.
I know.
Oh, my goodness. And, of course, the Bowfishing Buzz brought to you by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well. Our fantastic sponsors. Painted Arrow.
Oh, nice.
And Designs Leatherwork and Embroidery.
Painted Arrow.
And Efficiency Bowfishing Lights by Outdoor Innovations USA. Bringing episode 104 back to your ears, guys.
Absolutely.
Like Matt said, it does seem like it's been a long time since we've been in the studio. But looking back, I believe we've held our every other week upload schedule. It's we did that one in South Dakota on the boat. So that feels like we missed one, but we didn't. We did it on the boat type of deal.
Right.
And we were on the road again last week, which we'll get into. But it is great to be back talking to you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to let everyone know that we're going to talk about something that happened to us in South Dakota.
Yes, we are. Yep.
We're bringing it up. It's kind of a very important thing, and you're going to want to hear what happened to Schmitty and I, and our young shooter out there, Garrett, that was with us.
Yep.
He experienced this also.
Yep.
But we're going to be bringing up something that happened to us.
And just to tease it a little bit, we won't get into it now, but we did something that we were not supposed to do, and we did not know that we were doing something wrong.
Correct.
So we'll dive into that after we talk about some other topics here to kick off the pod here.
Right. Joining us.
Yeah, this is cool. I like this.
On the podcast, their team finished third at the U.S. Open back in May. Mm-hmm. And now they just finished in second place at last weekend's Muzzy Classic down in Gunnersville.
Amazing, solid placing so far this year.
They have not stopped rolling since last season.
Yeah.
Lance Brantley, team captain of TMS Bowfishing, going to discuss how things are going over for them this year so far.
Yeah.
Anything's changed from last year to this year.
Right.
Their teammates, of course, Noah Brewer and Gunnar Hagen.
Yep.
Doing a heck of a job out there since they've really jumped on scene in the tournaments.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So going to be joining us. You don't want to miss that.
No, that's going to be fantastic. I always enjoy talking to Lance. I would be curious. I don't know if he tracks it. I know he's talked about doing something like this, but I'd be curious how many hours he spends on the water in 1 year. I bet you it would blow your mind if he would actually keep track of all the time. Right. The grind that he puts in is insane.
And that's one of his mottos is the grind.
Yep. The 3%. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's one of his mottos there.
That's very cool. But, Matt, we have just returned. We got back this past weekend from a trip. We were down in Kentucky. If you could summarize that Kentucky trip with one word, what word would you use?
I'm not going to use a word. I'm going to use a sound.
Oh, okay. What's... Well, the word I was going to use is just going to be wet.
Yeah.
Or rain. That was ridiculous down there.
Terrible.
They've been getting rain all spring and early summer so far.
Yeah.
And it has not changed when we were down there. There was tons of rain, high water. Did we mention it rained? The gates were open on the dams. It rained. It was really windy, and we ran into some thunderstorms and rain.
Dirty water, and it rained again.
Oh, my gosh. That was insane. I've never been on a trip like that.
I know. I was so looking forward to it with Clayton Meyer.
Yes, the Obsession Outdoors. Yep.
On that paddlefish trip. It was going to be so exciting and so fun, and we were only able to go with them for a couple hours one night.
Yeah. Yep, and we got pushed off that night because of storms rolling in.
Yes.
Yep. Clayton was that one night we were with him. That was Monday night of the trip. We drove all day and met up with him.
Right.
The whole setup and everything was absolutely fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
He was a great guide.
The scenery was unbelievable.
It was unlike anything I've ever bowfished.
Yeah.
And I say that, one, about the scenery, and two, about his boat.
Oh, gosh, that boat was amazing.
That thing was a 5-star hotel that could float.
I've never seen a boat that had so many light switches on it.
Yeah.
My goodness, he had that baby lit up.
Yep.
Holy cow. And then when we head back up river, he had to light that beam to the left, to the right, to the center. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
He's like a barge captain.
Yeah, that was awesome. Great setup there.
It was amazing.
The weather hurt the fishing for us. We were unable to connect on
Even on his truck doors, he had lights shining everywhere. At the boat landing, I was like, holy cow, it seems like it's not even nighttime out here.
Yep. He had lights everywhere except when you opened the back seat, the back door to get the back seat. It was dark. I'm like, what in the world? There ought to be a freaking disco ball in this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but very nice setup. And I'm sure I look forward to going back down and doing the paddlefish again.
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
unfortunately, Mother Nature prevented us from going out the second night,
Right.
because of more heavy storms coming in.
Yeah. Plus, we were a little late in the season too to really hit that paddlefish.
Yes, because
right on.
Because he had everything booked up.
Yep.
You know,
when we contacted
so
him,
conditions were going to be a little tough, but we thought we could make it happen, and I think it could have happened.
Yeah, I do too. But
Because we were going to be moving to a different spot the second night.
Yep. Yeah.
And just unfortunately, like I said, we tried to go out the next day during the daytime. And my goodness, the rain just kept coming and coming. Oh, so we're at a boat landing.
Oh, God, yeah.
We went to a boat landing, and the boat landing is downhill. As we're coming there, it's a monsoon. It's just pouring cats and dogs. It's just coming down like crazy. We get to the boat landing, and it's pouring, like I said, and the water's just rushing down the boat launch and stuff and into the water and everything. And I make a turn around a little bit there, and we're sitting there looking at the water, and I can hear an alarm going off on a car.
Yep.
Moop, moop, moop. I'm like, why?
And there's not a ton of vehicles in the lot at the launch right now. There's maybe 5 or 6, including us.
Yep. And finally, the rain did stop. The sun came out. We're looking at the radar, figuring out what to do. Another storm was 10 minutes behind it coming in.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, you get fooled easily.
And then that alarm system was done. It wasn't on anymore.
Yep.
And so we start looking around at the boat launch area. We're walking around, looking at the water and deciding what to do. Put the boat in, don't put the boat in. Here's a brand new SUV, black SUV.
Yeah, GMC, I think, was the brand.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Leather interior.
Big boat trailer behind it. Yep.
All the windows.
Wide
open in that thing.
Yeah.
And it had just poured cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And that's why the alarms were going off in that thing.
And it was even parked on like a slope of the landing. So like the windows that were open, it wasn't, you're going to get rain. If you're parked perfectly horizontal level, you're going to get rain in. But this one even like opened them up even more.
Yes.
And every time that it would rain, it would trigger those alarms to go off. And there was no one around that we could go be like, hey, dude.
Nobody coming back.
We're just sitting there like, oh, God, that is awful.
Yeah. So we're sitting there deciding if we're going to put the boat in, and we're looking at the radar, looking at the weather clouds around us, and 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, here comes just another monsoon.
Yeah, yeah.
And there goes the alarms again, just pouring in this vehicle. I'm like, good grief. See, and the thing going to have a wet ass buttocks when he sits down in that thing. Hopefully, for a long time.
Yeah, think of the carpet.
That thing's going to reek.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. But down there too, Matt. A problem that we ran into, when we're bouncing around these boat launches, which a lot of times are off in the boonies a little bit. They're not real close to any cities or towns or anything. Is we would lose cell service.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a game of like, okay, is there weather coming or not?
Right.
Because that weather would move in cells. We would get a 15-minute storm, then that cell's gone. But
and
then
the sun would pop out and be hot as heck.
It looked beautiful out.
Yeah.
But then you'd kind of look off in the distance. You're like, man, that looks dark.
Yeah.
That looks a little scary. 5 minutes later, it's a little bit closer. Oh, is it going to miss us? And then, like, when we're on these trips, too.
Rumbling thunder in the background.
Yeah. When we're on these trips, we have a limited amount of time to try to get as much done as we can. So we're chomping at the bit to put the boat in the water, but at the same time, we can't film if it's pouring.
Right.
So it's a weird... It's like you want to hurry up and wait. That's what it feels like we're doing. And it was just really hard to get out on the water.
Yep. So we went back then to our Airbnb, and... Guess what? It started to pour again, just like cats and dogs again.
Yeah.
Literally, the driveway
it's starting to wash out.
where we were staying was washed out. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. So I said to Derek, we talked to Clayton a little bit there. I talked to Derek. I says, we're heading west.
Yeah.
To western Kentucky.
Yep.
To get away from some of this rain. At least we can get out tonight on Kentucky Lake if we need to. Because we weren't getting out where we were that night at all. No.
To Dennis
So
Reddenville.
we drove 5 hours west to Calvert City area.
And it rained the whole way over there, too. It was pouring down.
That was a nice day.
We ran into a couple of them, though. Remember, we called Dennis. We're like, we can't see the interstate.
Yeah.
It was pouring for 15 minutes. It rained.
Mm-hmm. So we get there. We get all set up. We get a motel. We go below the dam, and we're putting in there, and we see the gates are open.
Yeah.
And Dennis had been out there with some clients a couple days before, and he says the big heads and the silvers are up really good, and there's some good gar up and stuff.
Yep.
Of course, we get there, they open 2 gates.
Yeah. Now it's really rolling hard.
It pushed all the fish down almost.
Yep.
But one cool thing, Derek, while we were putting the boat in, there was 3 other bow fishing boats sitting there at the launch also.
Yep.
They were from Iowa. Great group of people there. They were having a blast. It was great to talk to them a little bit there at the boat landing. Like I said, great people. They were there for quite a while. They had shot a bunch of fish, and they were enjoying their time below the dam.
Yeah.
Bow fishing, and it was great to see. It was great to see that they were excited about the bow fishing. Like I said, it was great talking to them and everything like that there. But listen to this, Derek. One of those shooters, Andrew Vest, was bow fishing below Kentucky Dam and shot a paddlefish.
Very cool.
Okay, paddlefish is cool and everything.
That's cool just there.
That's a common thing down there, to shoot a paddlefish. But upon closer examination, the fish was tagged with a model jaw tag number P13075. When he called that jaw tag in, Andrew was shocked to learn that the paddlefish was tagged June 21st, 2023 in the Missouri River below Gavin's Point.
Wow.
Using Onyx mapping, Andrew figures the fish traveled nearly 930 river miles to Kentucky Dam. Now, Andrew said it was pretty cool to get a letter from the South Dakota Game and Fish with the information on the paddlefish he shot below Kentucky Dam, and also would like to give credit to his buddy Cody Mann for driving the boat. Now, that's cool stuff right there,
Yeah,
Smitty.
that's
Congrats,
insane.
Andrew, on that fish. How cool, I mean.
So that fish was tagged in South Dakota.
Correct.
Made its way down river systems and got shot below the Kentucky Dam.
Yep. Went from the Missouri River to the Mississippi River, up the Mississippi River to the Ohio River. From there, it very well could have went a little further. It could have went up to the Smithland Dam.
Right. Who knows where it's,
Turned around,
Yep.
came back, went up the river, up to Kentucky Dam.
That's insane. That's wild.
How cool is that?
Yeah, 930 river miles. And it was tagged, and that's in 2 years.
Yeah, and that's kind of estimations there with using Onyx and stuff that Andrew was using. But,
Yep.
man, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool.
Wow.
That's something that is so interesting to learn about these fish. I think there's a lot, even not just paddlefish, but I think there's a lot that goes on with all these fish that we're shooting that there's more than meets the eye with a lot of these fish as far as their habitat and why they behave the way that they do.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Pretty cool stuff right there.
Yep. Just on a little side note, since we're on the knowledge topic of things, Matt, when we were in South Dakota, you shot what we call a pineapple carp.
Yes.
It was bulging eyeballs, bulging scales.
Mushy.
It felt like 5 pounds heavier than what it should have. It was just like weird and waterlogged. It was almost just laying on the bottom.
Move,
when you shot
it
it just twitched a little bit. And I posted a picture of that on Megamouth Facebook and Instagram yesterday. I said, hey, guys, I said, anyone shot a fish like this? If so, do you know what it is? Good amount of comments. Guys are like, oh, that's dropsy koi is what the infection is called.
Wow.
And it's a bacterial infection that everyone calls dropsy koi, whatever it might be. And that is exactly what it does. That fish was very near death when they get it that bad. Their scales kind of look like they're popping out. The description on Google even was dropsy koi, bacterial infection, also known as pine cone.
Right.
Pine cone koi. Because those fish do look like a pine cone.
Yes.
All those scales flared out.
Popping on it.
So, that was kind of cool. We've shot a couple fish like that over the years. And it's called dropsy koi.
Crazy.
Is the name. Yeah. Yep.
I see those fish here in Wisconsin after ice out.
Oh, okay. Sure.
March, early April, when those fish have been under the ice for such a long time.
Yep.
I've seen pictures of people that have shooting them on the Peaton Well flowage. Their eyes are bug-eyed. Their eyes are popping out of their heads and stuff. And when I was holding that up for a picture, I was holding it, and it was like I could actually feel my hands sinking into its skin.
Gosh. Yeah, that's
remember
gross.
I said, all right, you done?
Yeah. A couple of the last couple of pictures it's blurry because you're putting it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like a sponge. Like it's
that's
absorbing
weird.
all that water.
Couple people were in the comments are like, I would not have held that thing with my bare hands.
Oh, I had some beef jerky right after that.
Yeah. That was interesting. Well, Matt, we've been on the road 2 of the last 3 weeks, South Dakota and Kentucky, and you've been out shooting a lot more than even I have. You had the opportunity to take out some pretty cool people here in the last week or so. Why don't you tell everybody what you did?
I was fortunate enough to take out some Wisconsin Badger football players.
Yeah, baby. Go Badgers.
Go Badgers. Ben Barton, who is a graduate from right here in Stratford where the AMS shop is.
Yep.
I went to school there. You went to school there.
Yep.
Ben was a football player, a basketball player, great athlete here at Stratford.
Yeah.
But Ben loved to go bow fishing. We have pictures of him bow fishing as a young kid.
Oh, really?
in school.
Oh, that's cool.
In elementary.
Yeah, that's neat.
Out there, John Hubble used to take him out.
Okay.
He worked with his father, and we have pictures of taking him out when, like I said, when he was in high school or grade school. I took him out. John and I took him back out bow fishing, him and his brother, when he was a senior in high school, and we had a blast. And earlier this year, I got a message from Ben again saying, hey, man, I'd like to go bow fishing again. I'd like to take a couple of my teammates. Can we make this happen? And so we made it happen again. I had 3 offensive linemen in my boat. John had Ben, who was a defensive end. Mm-hmm. And then he also had another offensive lineman in his boat.
That's awesome.
And you know, when you're doing this, you never know what to expect.
Right.
You don't know what they're going to be like. How are they going to act? All that stuff is stuff. So, and like I said, I'm not a guide, so I'm nervous. I want to get them on fish. I want to make sure they see some fish. The weather has been crap here. It's cold, rainy, and stuff. Also, dirty waters. So I'm nervous.
Yep.
Don't know what to expect. But man, they pulled into the boat launch parking lot and they were jacked up. They couldn't wait to get on the water. We actually had to move to a different boat landing area because the winds were so terrible. We had to move to a different boat landing. We had to drive 30 minutes to a different landing. And you talk about a bunch of great guys.
Well, that's awesome. That's cool.
You would take a fish off. You would retie an arrow, hand them the equipment, show them how to use stuff, and they're all like, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. A lot of thank yous. Yeah. And to watch them shoot their first fish, bow fishing, and to see how excited they were was a lot of fun. To see them mingle with each other and rib each other on the boat, which is always a great thing for bow fishing.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you miss a fish, when you get a fish, high fives, excitement. And it was just a lot of fun. We had a great time. And I'm glad that Ben called us and wanted us to go back out bow fishing and take some of his teammates along. It was a great time.
Well, that's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, you never know there. I bet you that's as much weight as the boats had in it without much fish in it in a long time.
Yeah.
There were some big, athletic, strong boys right there.
One thing that unfortunately couldn't happen from the time we talked to Ben to when he could actually come up was one of their offensive coordinators or coaches.
Yeah.
Joe Thomas.
Oh, my gosh. The Joe Thomas. Hall of Fame Joe Thomas.
NFL Hall of Famer.
Yes. Offensive lineman.
Was supposed to come along, but he couldn't make the trip, and that would have been really cool to get Joe Thomas.
You would have been in the presence of a Hall of Famer.
How cool would that have been?
There'd have been 2
Maybe one of these guys will be Hall of Famers in the future.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If Joe Thomas would have been on the boat, there'd have been 2 Hall of Famers on the boat.
Oh, my gosh.
A BAA Hall of Famer and an NFL Hall of Famer. Oh, my goodness.
So that was
awesome.
A lot of fun.
That's very cool.
Had a great time with Ben, and I hope we get to do that again. I'm planning on going on and watching the Badgers this year, so maybe I can mingle with them again down on the field and stuff.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, this last weekend we talked about it briefly, but we had a big tournament in the bowfishing world.
Right.
Muzzy Classic was this past weekend. A lot of boats, well-run event. You want to run us through just a little bit of a recap of what went down this past weekend?
Sure. From what I had been hearing and talking and stuff with different guys that were shooting in the tournament was tough conditions again.
Yep.
Dirty water, rising water, fish going deeper, windy conditions. Just kind of like what
I was going to say. And where was it? Where was it out of?
Guntersville.
Yes. Okay, gotcha. They had to be getting that same type of pattern that we were last week.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was coming up from the south up to us, southeast. Yep. Like I said, it was a little bit of a struggles. Coming in first place was Team Descalin with 504 pounds, winning $15,000.
Cool. Second place, Team AMS Bowfishing, 462.65 pounds, winning $3,000.
Nice. And coming in third place, Team Bad Behavior, 363.65 pounds, winning $1,500.
The overall big fish by Team Breeze with a 56.7-pound buff. Dang.
Wow.
Winning $5,000. Just a quick observation here, Matt. Almost a 100-pound difference between second and third place. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I also was looking through the notes. The overall biggest common was, I think, 21. The heaviest overall grassy was 56.4.
Oh my.
Something like that. So there was like
right there. Right there.
That's a good buff for that time of year down there. Almost 57-pound buff.
Yeah.
Good job, Team Breeze, on that.
Yeah, that's very
cool. A heck of a fish.
Yeah. Yep.
Next big tourney coming up.
Yes.
We've got the BAA Worlds in Decatur, Alabama coming up. I believe it's July 25th.
Okay, I was just going to say.
That's a Friday night.
Late July. Yep, it's a Friday
night tournament.
Yep. Yep. And it will be unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Right.
With that layout.
Going to be kind of cool to kind of see what does come in for weigh-ins here because you got salt water, you got fresh water. What our team's going to do, and that's one thing that we're going to talk to Lance because he's going to be going to the tournament.
That'll be interesting.
What are you going to focus on?
Yeah.
What you know or what you don't know?
Yeah, and I'll be curious, too, to ask Lance, okay, do you like how this is formatted? Do you like having to worry about all these different possibilities that you could go target or shoot or other people bringing this in? I'm just curious from a competitive standpoint, which obviously Lance is one of the best that does it. I'd be curious if that's a pro or a con in his mind.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. One thing also that's kind of interesting, Derek, is the winning teams all were weighing in buffs and some grassies. No big heads. So everybody thinks that, Team AMS, all they do is shoot big heads.
Nope, you're wrong.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Nope, they're coming with buffs also.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little congrats here, Matt. One last thing here. Congratulations to Rebecca Chapel, Maya Hayes, and Ty Redden. Those are your 2025 BAA scholarship winners.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
And hats off to the BAA for doing something like
Absolutely.
that. That's very cool.
It's a neat thing. So what the applicants have to do is they have to send in a 3 or 5 minute video.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Of why they think they should receive a scholarship.
Gotcha. Cool.
I was watching my old buddy Ty Redden's.
I would love to see Ty.
I was watching my little buddy Ty Redden's little video there because I took him out. I've been taking him both since he was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now here he is a senior. And I was watching his video, and one of the questions he must have wanted to know was, what was one of your favorite memories about bowfishing?
Oh.
And it almost brought me to tears because it was pretty cool because his favorite bowfishing memory was bowfishing with me, his grandpa Dennis, and his cousin Cody.
Yep.
When we shot the state record buff that
Really?
year.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, is there a specific time when that happened?
Because he put a backup shot into that fish there, and he got to witness us, taking it in, getting it officially certified scale, getting it weighed. He was there during the whole process. So he was right there from when we shot the fish to putting the backup into it to weighing it to everything. Yeah. And that was one of his memories. And I thought that was pretty cool because
that's awesome.
I have a lot of great memories taking that young man out bowfishing throughout all those years. And to see him remember one of our deals together, bowfishing trips, was really neat.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool to see. When I think of that footage, the footage is amazing. Ty and Cody, they're walking down with Subway. Like they got out of school early or something. They're walking down to the ramp. Yep. And the clip, obviously, of him putting the backup on that big fish is great. But the clip that I remember is he shot a fish. I don't know if it was a backup shot or if he actually shot it. But
Cody had shot a buff before that.
Oh, no, I think it's a different clip.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Yes.
And it's a solid fish.
Oh, yeah.
But Ty was a big boy. He's going to bring that fish in the boat by himself. So he gets it by the boat, and he goes in. I don't know. How old was he at this time? I mean, if
they were 9, 10, right around there, I'm guessing, 12, 11,
So he's kneeling up on the catwalk, and he grabs that arrow, and that buff frickin' took off, and it dragged him right in the water.
Pulled him right in the water overboard, he goes.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
And Dennis is up on the deck, and I'm filming.
Yep.
And Dennis is up on the deck going, he's laughing. I'm like, come get him.
Yeah, get him out of the water.
Rolling. I got the camera rolling. Yeah. He's hanging on the side of the gunnel there.
Yep, that was cool.
A lot of good times right there together.
Yeah, yep.
So.
Now we got to get serious.
Yep. We are going to tell you what happened to us out in South Dakota.
And we're telling you guys this from a standpoint of we are an open book. We want to tell everything that happens, and we want to prevent any of you from finding yourself in a similar situation where you might be doing something that you do not realize was not the right thing to do.
Right. So, as a lot of you know that have bowfish in South Dakota, the waters have been climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing since the 90s.
Yeah. Yep.
It has eaten up a lot of property out there.
Yep.
Like, for example, that one lake at one time was, 1,500 acres?
I believe it was 3,000 acres with a maximum depth of 6 feet.
Right.
And that was in 1990, I believe.
Right.
3,000 acres, max depth of 6 feet.
Yep.
Now it is over 15,000 acres and a maximum of 60 feet.
Right.
So just envision that in your head.
Blowing up all the farm properties out there and eating up houses, eating up highways, eating up power poles, eating up sheds, eating up silos, everything.
Yeah.
Eating it up. Okay. Now that water eventually, since the last time I was out there, has come down a couple feet. So it is rescending a little bit. But there still are property lines out there that are under the water yet.
Yep.
So I'm going to take you back to our second day there. We put it at the boat landing, looking at our maps. Where should we go? We find a bay that should be protected from the winds.
Yep.
So we start heading in that direction.
And you had prior success there in previous years.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So as we're driving there, we're getting closer to the back of to some of these bays that are going to start opening up. And we see signs with red buoy markers in the water.
Yep.
So we pull up to that sign, and it says, no
recreational use without landowner permission.
Beyond this point.
And there's a bunch of those signs and red buoys going across the mouth of the bay that we wanted to get into.
Right.
When you shot it in years past, they were not there.
No.
There was no signs, no buoys at all. And like, keep in mind, I know this sounds obvious, but it's all going to play into how this happens. We put in at a very public boat launch. Yep. We're going to an area where there's boats everywhere. There's walleye fishermen all over the place, but we wanted to get back into this little bay where we found these buoys that said you cannot go past.
Tell our listeners, Derek, what is going on just past those buoy markers?
There are carp spawning like you have only envisioned in your wildest fantasies.
Yes.
There are fish everywhere, and it almost seemed like they knew where that freaking line was because they were not spawning on the side that you could recreate on.
Yep.
So we're sitting there, and we're right up against that. You know, we are not crossing the forbidden line because we wanted to make sure that we wanted to do everything how we are supposed to.
Yep.
We're both very by the book when it comes to hunting, fishing. I like to pride myself on I am as
straight
a
as an
rule
arrow
follower as I possibly can be. The second I look up shooting hours when I'm hunting, the second that it's done, I'm done.
Right.
I might wait till it get a little dark so I don't spook deer, but I'm done. I'm not shooting anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever, that type of deal.
So what do we do?
So the fish were spawning so feverishly that we're like, we got to see if we can access this.
But what do we do? We call the South Dakota Game and Fish.
Yes, first we called South Dakota Game and Fish. You called them. So you
called them.
You talked to them.
I said, hey, we're out here on such and such lake. We're next to these signs out here. What does this mean? Mm-hmm. Are we allowed to go in there? What's the deal? What's the situation with these signs? Well, they said, yes, those signs are out there, and you must get landowner permission to go into those areas.
Correct.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds
hung
good.
Up the phone.
Yep.
So I go on X. I changed my subscription, so I had more than just Wisconsin. I went to the elite membership, so I had South Dakota. Found who owned the land around that bay.
Mm-hmm.
Found a phone number for him. Found a contact. So I called him up. And I said, hello? I said, hi. I said, my name's Derek Schmidt. We're down here on Lake X. Mm-hmm. And we're actually right next to your buoy line here, and it says that we cannot go past it without landowner permission. We're down here bowfishing. There's hundreds of carp spawning back in this bay, and we were just wondering if we could go past these buoys to be able to go shoot some fish back there.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes, I don't know what you're talking about, and he hangs the phone up.
Right.
I thought that was rather strange, but whatever.
Yeah.
There's a landowner. There's rules here. We are rule-abiding people.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, oh, crap. Well, can't go back there.
Right. So we start bow fishing right there and start going up and away from
the buoys.
Yep.
As we are sitting there doing that, there was a farmhouse way up the way. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes a side-by-side that emerges down onto the shore. They came and they looked and they turned right back around. They were making sure that we were not breaking any rules.
Kind of like a setup.
It was kind of a little bit of a trap,
to
be honest with you. But they did nothing wrong. They're landowners. They get to do whatever they please. We did not go past those buoys. That's fine.
Yep.
So we saw that happened. We're like, that's interesting. They wanted us to break the rules so they could get us.
Right.
But we didn't do anything wrong. So we were going the other way out into the open lake.
Yep. So fast forward until later this afternoon.
Yep.
The rains had stopped. We're looking at our maps. Where can we get out of the wind? Let's go over here. This is a good spot. There's a couple little bays back in here. Let's go over there. So we drive to the main lake, start heading back into some of these big cuts and sloughs back in there.
Yep.
We get back in there, and I look off to the right of where we're driving to look at the bay. Here we can see those red signs.
Another different set of buoys and signs.
So I'm looking at that, and I'm driving, and I just keep driving. I just turn away from it.
Yeah. After the first experience with one, we're like, we're not even going to try. Right. Let's just go. Yeah. Yep.
So I veer off to our right. There's another little cove back there. We get closer. We can see fish spawning back in there. We can see them pushing. We can see them swimming in shallow waters. We're like, beautiful.
Yep.
So what do we do, Derek?
We went up there, and the way that the spot was positioned, we started out in the boat, shooting some fish here and there.
Yeah.
But being in the boat was not the most effective way that we could get at these fish.
Right.
We needed to get in the water is what we needed to do. So we took up, it was very shallow leading up to that shore. We beached the boat, but there was 15 feet of water between the boat and the shore. Mm-hmm. And we jumped out of the boat with cameras and bows in hand, and we walked around in the water filming and doing little video things.
We walked across a little sandbar.
Yep,
there was fish spawning right there where the sandbar was.
There was a little sandbar that came out into the water, not connecting it to shore. There was water that wrapped around the entire little sandbar island, and we're just walking around.
I'm off to the left of you guys. When you guys were shooting some fish, I'm filming these fish that are spawning. They're coming right next to me.
They're spawning at your feet.
Yes.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
Right.
We're just having a good old time.
Yep.
Okay, so I would say we were up there maybe half hour.
Yeah, half hour, 40 minutes or so, messing around, taking pictures. And the fish we're shooting, we're carrying them back. We're putting them in the boat.
Yep. All of us we're all properly licensed. We bought our South Dakota licenses the day before we left for the trip. And at one point, maybe 20 minutes in, one of us said, oh, look, there, and keep in mind, too, let me just sprinkle this in there. I know this, there's nothing around us.
No.
It's all just open,
farmland,
flat area.
Rolling hills.
A mile up the shore, hundreds and hundreds of yards up the shore, there is a farmhouse. That we can just see in the distance. And maybe 20 minutes into us getting out of the boat, we saw a side-by-side driving around. We thought nothing of it at all. We just didn't think anything of it. People are driving around out here checking cattle, checking fields, whatever the case might be. There's farm work going on all over the place.
Right.
So we did that for a while. We came back to the boat. We're all sitting on the boat.
We're sitting there eating beef jerky.
On the boat, which is 15 feet from shore.
You and Garrett are inside the boat.
We're inside the boat.
Standing alongside the boat and water up to my knees, and we're eating beef jerky and just discussing stuff and talking.
Yes, yep. And we see a side-by-side come down to shore. They were intentionally coming to see us. You know, that was obvious. They weren't just checking anything. They were coming to talk to us about something.
Yep.
So
they pull up. And I look at him and I go, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And as soon as I said that, I could tell by the driver's look on his face, he had no intentions of being.
This was not a social visit at all.
Right.
This was not a social visit at all. And as soon as you said that, like we always are in the water, oh, hey, guys, we get people coming up all the time.
Right.
Oh, what are you guys doing? Look at that boat. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You said, hey, guys, how's it going? And there was no response for probably 15 seconds.
Right.
And that's when I'm like, oh, boy, something's wrong. Something's not right.
Then I look past him and I see a woman in the UTV with her phone up recording or taking pictures or doing something.
Yep. And I will clean up the language. These landowners, they didn't do anything wrong. They were within their rights of what they did. But she told us, she says, do you guys realize that you're trespassing on private property?
Right.
And you said no.
There's no buoy markers.
You said, where are your buoys?
Right.
Because we had been playing that game all morning. We couldn't go past the buoys, and we were just on open lake. She was not a fan of that, and the gentleman driver said to her, he said, did you get everything that you need? And she said, yep, I got it. And that's when we realized she was filming with a phone. Right. She was filming us out there. And then they drove off. Yep. They left. So we're sitting there like, okay, something's not right here. That was a strange interaction. Yep. We don't think we're doing anything wrong, but at the same time, we want to make sure because this is strange. So we
and remind you, we do this everywhere we go. We get out, we walk, we take pictures, we take a break. You know, we walk the bank and shoot fish. Yeah. We do this.
We beach
everywhere.
The boat somewhere,
right?
You know, yeah, yep. Mm-hmm. And so, what did we do after that, Matt?
We talked a little bit, and then we said, let's get the heck out of here.
Yeah, we bolted pretty quick. We're like, well, okay, obviously we're not welcome here. Right. We're doing something. We need to leave.
Yep. So we leave, and we start going back out, and we're sitting there, and I was like, I'm going to call the Game and Fish again
to
see what's up. So we called the number that's out there, and this person got us in contact with the local game warden for that area.
Yep, for that county.
I called the local game warden. I say, he answers the phone, and I say, hey, this is Matthew Schillinger. We're out here on such lake. This is what happened to us. He goes, where are you at right now? And I told him what bay we're in. And he goes, I've got some questions for you.
He says, don't move. I got some questions for you.
Right. So he had already been notified about us.
Yep.
And this is a time frame of about 35 minutes.
Oh, I don't even think it was that much, man. I thought we got out there and you killed the motor 15 minutes later, and we're like, let's call. Yeah. I mean, I just feel uneasy. Let's call.
Right.
Yeah.
After we call, and he says, wait for us. So I'm going to come and talk to you guys. Now we're sitting there, and Derek thinks that there's a possibility that we left one fish on that little sandbar.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, crap.
Because we shot maybe 5 fish while we were up there. And the landowners, they were not happy about something, and I didn't want them to go down there and see a carp laying somewhere, and then that would make them even more upset. And I'm like, oh, God, what if we forgot one? In our rush of wanting to get out because they wanted us gone, what if we forgot one?
Right. So we drive back there.
Yeah.
We're up on the filming tower looking with binoculars to see if there's any carp, and we couldn't see nothing.
Yeah.
And we wanted to get a little closer, but I was like, guys.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think that we're antagonizing them or coming back or taunting them.
Because we were not. We just wanted to make sure we had everything we had there cleaned up.
Because they were not very friendly, and we're all like, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's just get out of here.
Yeah. Yep.
So we went back out there, waited for the warden. He calls me back and says, I'm going to go talk to the landowners first.
Yep.
Okay. So we actually saw him drive by us, go back into that area, and he's back there for 45 minutes to an hour. This whole time we're sitting there, I'm looking out in the main lake, and I'm seeing these waves go from 1-foot rollers to 2-foot rollers to 2.5-foot rollers to 3-foot rollers. I'm like, we got to go out there and get back to the boat landing.
Yeah, this was looking, and we had a run back to the landing.
Yeah,
it was a good ways.
So finally, we see him pull out, and he's just sitting there floating in the water.
Yep.
For like 15 minutes.
In his boat.
So I messaged him and say, hey, I says, can we meet you back at the boat landing because it's getting rough out here. We need to get back to the boat landing. He goes, yep, sure.
Yep.
So we took off. Game warden took off. We're driving side by side. I'm pounding waves, of course. He's got a nice big V-bottom, V-hull, and stuff. And we got the flat bottom. We're just
we were freaking we were wet.
It was a rough ride back. Long story short, we go back. He pulls me in his truck, tells me what we all did.
Yep. The
game warden was great.
He was.
He was 100%. A very nice guy. He believed what we were telling him. Well, and I did ask him.
Let's talk about the landowners wanted to get us for known trespassing.
Right.
Was the charge that they wanted us to get charged with. There are 2 levels of trespassing in South Dakota. One is known trespassing, and the other is unknown trespassing. Mm-hmm. The punishment for known trespassing is a $500 fine and a loss of hunting and fishing privileges for 2 years. I believe that's what he told you.
Yep.
And the unknown penalty is a monetary fine, around $150.
Yep.
So they wanted to pin us for the known trespassing. So just so everybody knows. So okay, now continue with.
So I went in and told him my story, and everything that I said matched up to what they said. He could see our tracks on that sandbar, and I said we were standing on a sandbar. He could see our foot tracks on there. We did not leave any carp left behind.
God. Okay.
So he was very understanding of what we're doing. We were out of state. I told him, man, we do this a lot when we're filming. We never think that we're going to be issued for trespass. You see people get out on sand beaches and walk all the time.
Right.
People boat their pontoons and are out there on sandbars and stuff and whatever. So when it all came down to it, we did get a citation for unknown trespassing.
Yep. You and I both got citations for unknown trespassing.
$157 fine.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He did not give one. Garrett was with us. He did not give one to Garrett just because we were kind of the, you and I were the adults. We were in control of that situation of what we were doing. And so that was nice of him.
Yep.
And I will say this, Matt, like this is on us. We should have done our research more with what was going on. And I want to get into, why we got that ticket. In the state of South Dakota, when you are on private property, which that area, if you would look on Onyx, that landowner owned a very large square that extends out into the water.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say like a large square, I'm not talking about squares that are like a half acre or 5 acres. Right. I'm talking about like 200 acres of a square that extends out that is in water right now.
Right.
That warden told us the second that we left the boat is when we broke that rule. When we jumped out of the boat, whether we landed or we were swimming around, that is when we were breaking that rule and trespassing on private property.
Yep.
I've never been in a situation like that. I think of if that rule could be in place in like we have a cabin up in the Minocqua area, very populated area. I think of all of the times that people are jumping and swimming and doing that kind of thing. It would be a continuous. A warden would be on call 24/7 to take care of these issues. But that we should have known that rule. We should have known that was something. So the landowners, they weren't exactly the most friendly, but they were within their rights of trying to do that. I apologize to them. I doubt they're listening to this, but we shouldn't have done that. But we just kind of wanted to share that with you guys, just so you guys don't happen to do that same thing somewhere. Just always be very aware. We had no idea, no inclination that we were doing anything wrong. When they pulled down with that side-by-side, I thought, they're just curious what we're doing.
Yep.
We can show them. We can talk to them. This is always a good thing that happens when we talk to people, and it was not that. So, yeah, just be careful. We should have been a little bit more careful, and that's our South Dakota story.
So, and we just wanted to tell you guys, because I know there's a lot of people that probably go out there and bowfish.
Right.
Don't get out and walk up any creeks or anything out there, because you probably are trespassing because of the high waters out there and everything like that there.
Yep.
So, we just wanted to let you all go, no, don't do that, because we should have known, and we should, like you said, we should have looked at that and known what we were doing, and what we were doing was wrong.
Yes, correct. Correct. That comes back on us, even though it was a foreign rule that we had not made aware. It's different everywhere you go.
Right.
They even had a term when you shoot an arrow out of your bow, and it goes through the water and it misses the fish and hits the private property that is below the water that you can be in, because it's legal to bowfish on this private property because you're on a boat that you access via public boat launch. There's all kinds of things you have to keep straight. But when you shoot and your arrow is in your hand, it's your property, and it shoots and it goes through the water and trespasses onto the private ground that's underneath, that is even deemed as incidental contact.
Right.
I don't know if there's any penalty for that, but the fact that they have a term for it would make me think, wow, this is something that is very serious about here.
He even said that was for fishermen, where you throw a jig up there, a bottom bouncer, and you're bouncing on the bottom. Incidental.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep. And just a side note for everyone, I from the second that this started to happen, you can ask
Oh,
Matt,
my gosh.
I was just...
He was torn up.
I had not felt like that ever. I've never had any situation like this happen before in my life. I pride myself, I don't, trespassing's terrible. I've had experiences of people trying to do it on our property, and it pisses me off to no end. But yeah, I was torn up.
You were torn up.
I was torn up. And then Garrett was just so unbothered by the whole thing. We're sitting out there. I can barely talk. You're just trying to keep us floating around. And Garrett's sitting over there, and he's like, look
at that fish.
Yeah, what's your guys' favorite flavor of Dorito? Because this nacho cheese is getting a little overrated. I'm like, how are you eating? I feel like I'm going to puke. What are you doing? Oh, he was but I think that did help a little bit, honestly, having him there.
What got me was when he told me the two situations, known and unknown, and the penalties for each one. That's when I got a sick feeling in my stomach, because no fishing hunting license for 2 years.
Well, and he said that it would extend to any state, not just South Dakota, correct?
That's what he said.
Okay.
But there are states that oblige by that, and some states that don't oblige by that.
Okay, so that was a little up in the air.
Even with that, I'm like,
that's harsh.
That's bowfishing.
Right.
You mean to tell me I can't get a license for 2 years?
Yeah.
Somewhere in a different state to go bowfishing?
Yeah.
So I felt a sick feeling to my stomach.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it was very odd and very strange. And like Derek said, we are by the book, strict as we can. We don't do this type of stuff. and it was very odd.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very strange. And it kind of set a different tone the rest of the couple of days while we were out there.
It was, and I feel bad for that, but
weird.
for me, it knocked me down a notch on my typical excitement.
Yeah. I felt like all the landowners were watching us.
Oh, and see, that was strange too.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, Matt, with everyone feels like we were watching us.
I know.
We would pull into boat landings, and there'd be people recording us on their phones.
Yeah.
Taking pictures. Not just one group, 2 groups,
right.
3 guys. Some guy's pulling out of his boat. He's looking at us. We wave. He doesn't wave back.
Right. I said, what are you guys doing? Then they get jump in their truck and leave.
Yes. We went to ask some people, and as soon as we pulled up, they both got in the truck and they left.
Yeah.
We were looking for another place to stay our last night that we were out there. We pull into this little, drive-up motel. We go in, I said, do you guys have any rooms? And she goes, yeah, you guys were staying over at the Airbnb down in, I won't say the town name, but you guys were down staying at that Airbnb, which is 20 minutes away from where we are right now. I said, yep, that we were staying there. And she goes, yeah, you guys have had lunch a couple times over at the cafe down there. I'm like, what is going on here? Then she goes, nope, sorry, no rooms available. I'm like, okay, thanks. And then we walked out, we're like, we are targeted out here.
It was very, very
What's
odd.
going on? Yeah, that was strange. I did not like that feeling.
Odd.
That's, but then we'd also talk to guys at the landing that were walleye fishermen. They're like, oh, you guys out shooting carp? We're like, yeah. And they're like, awesome, shoot them all.
Right.
So it was it was a little strange.
A lot of mixed emotions out there.
Yes.
Very strange.
But we got it all out on the table now.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, learn from it, take from it, laugh, whatever you want to do with it. But we just wanted to share that.
Right.
So. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Matt. We'll give Lance Brantley a call.
Yes.
After this quick little commercial break. Have you found yourself wishing you could relive your bowfishing experiences out in the water? Introducing the Mag Pro H2O by Painted Arrow, the world's first magnetic smartphone mount designed specifically for bowfishing. The H2O is a universal mount that attaches to the front of any bowfishing boat. The mount will work with any smartphone by placing the Painted Arrow phone plate on the back side of your phone case. The H2O design features an integrated rubber security strap to ensure your phone doesn't fall off the mount when in action. Filming your experiences on the water has never been easier. To pick up your H2O mount or to learn more, please visit paintedarrow.com and don't forget to relive the catch. Use code AMS15 for 15% off your next order. Are you looking to elevate your bowfishing brand with stunning design solutions? Look no further than N Designs. Their team of talented designers is dedicated to bringing your vision to life. Whether it's t-shirts, hats, leather products, eye-catching logos, to captivating boat wraps, they have you covered. Plus, with their commitment to excellence and attention to detail, you can trust that your project is in good hands. Don't settle for ordinary. Choose N Designs for extraordinary results. Visit their website today and let's bring your ideas to life. N Designs, where creativity meets excellence. Efficiency Bowfishing Lights by Outdoor Innovations USA. A color tone adjustable and dimmable light with a unique patented reflector design that puts more light where you need it. Efficiency Bowfishing Lights offer 3 different models: the 65-watt single color economy light, the 65-watt Efficiency V2 tricolor dimmable light for maximum efficiency and versatility, and the 130-watt Efficiency Maximus, designed to be an all-out beast of a bowfishing light. Efficiency, designed and built by bowfishermen for bowfishermen. Check them out at OutdoorInnovationsUSA.com. And welcome back, everybody. Episode 104 of the Bowfishing Buzz.
Sure.
We have a very special guest joining us today. Just shot in a big tournament this past weekend. Has had a heck of a career shooting tournaments.
Yeah.
From Team AMS, we have Lance Brantley. Lance, how are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Good.
We are doing great.
Good.
It's raining up here. I think the rain has been following us around for the last month.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But yeah, it's crazy, Lance. How was the weather? Has it finally cleared up a little bit down in Kentucky? Because last time we were there, it was a monsoon.
It's dried up a little bit.
Oh.
It's got to be it has to be 120 out here today. It sure feels like it.
Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh. Oh.
It's warm.
Oh, I hope you're indoors.
Oh, me. I'm in the truck at the moment, but
Gotcha.
it's part of the fun.
Gotcha.
Got to get out and play in a little bit.
Awesome. So, Lance, we wanted to ask you some questions about the tournaments because you've been on with us a couple of times. You're winning some big tournaments. You guys are doing very well on the tournament trail. You're known for bringing in some big fish, some big heads. You guys just came with some nice buffs here for the last tournament. How would you describe your tournament season so far, Lance?
We've been blessed. Matt.
Good.
I think we're just a couple of tournaments in. Our goal is always top 3. We've been blessed to do that so far. The U.S. Open, we ended up 3rd, and then the Muzzy, we ended up 2nd.
Nice.
We hadn't witnessed a W yet this year, but we're blessed to do what we've done.
Very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
that's awesome. That's very cool. You know, Lance, you're shooting big tournaments all the time, placing very highly in them. I think you put the time in like no one else I've ever really known or heard of. But I am curious because I'm guessing you are doing a ton of scouting leading up to these tournaments. Has anything changed from how you scouted last year to this year, or how you used to scout 5 years ago compared to this year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with time you get, more ideals on what you need to focus on. And, going in, every tournament's different depending on what waters you're on or where you're going to be at on what you're targeting and all that good stuff. And this year we kind of narrowed it down to what we thought our best odds were, and that was Buffalo. And we definitely put a lot more in the boat. We were short on some kicker fish. It'd been nice to have some bigger ones, but I'm sure everybody at a tournament can say the same thing on that.
Yeah, right.
You always want one more big one, but
right.
we fell a little short. Which the Skilling boys, they're a tough team, especially
Absolutely.
on that water, that area. They know their stuff, and they got us again.
You're right there with them, though. You're right there with them.
Yeah, we gave them a little bit of a. I'm sure they were thinking about us anyhow.
Absolutely.
But
Yep.
But yeah, it fell a little short, but we had a heck of a night. I mean, overall, it sounded like the conditions were pretty tough.
Right.
A lot of things were changing, which we kind of seen that coming and adjusted to it. And overall, it worked out. We just fell a little short of the W, but hey, when it's a 100-boat tournament and a lot of good people there, we're tickled to have second.
That's awesome. That's very cool. So, Lance, I want you to take us back to the U.S. Open, which was in May. And now you've got the Muzzy Classic, which was this past weekend. You go from shooting big heads in the U.S. Open and then buffs for the Muzzy. Any challenge between the two fish when it comes to scouting? Is it harder for one? Is it easier for one?
Yeah.
Do you have more trust in this species of fish versus the other species of fish?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're both keep you up all night. That's for sure. Especially for the night full of trout. I mean, they can leave you. I mean, typically your buffs I feel like are a little less contrary. So we had a little bit less of that sick in your stomach, but when it comes to a big tournament, you never know. I mean, even scouting, you kind of have an idea of how many people's in your area, but until that tournament night comes, I mean, you never know how many guys offer just to show up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's you got to kind of plan for it, and we did, and we were blessed that we didn't get cut up, too bad. And was able to get her fish, but
nice.
I mean, they both, as far as between the both fish, I mean, they both keep you nervous. I say that.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So Lance, how did you and the team feel heading into tournament day this past weekend?
We felt pretty good. I mean, that's the good thing about having. I mean, all of us put in equal work. I mean. There's a lot of grind before the tournament, and we had all pushed really hard, and everybody we felt pretty decent about it. We had put our work in and our plan together, and you always have those butterflies before, but it turned out to be a good night.
Good. And I also want to mention your teammates, because they're a huge part of your team as well. Gunnar Hagen, Noah Brewer. You have to have a lot of trust in those guys. They've been great teammates for you throughout the past couple of years. So I don't want to leave out, Gunnar and Noah as well, because they're just as much of the team as you are.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, every bit of it, if not more at times. We all get along great.
Right.
We try to make sense. There's no egos. It's just whatever, whatever makes sense is what we do.
Yeah.
And there's never really an argument.
Right, and that plays, that's huge on a team.
Team chemistry is
we always
huge.
talk about that in tournaments. That chemistry is great. You kind of know what your teammate's going to do.
Yeah, everyone's got their role.
Yes, once somebody shoots a fish, they kind of know their role, what's going on, how they rotate, how they back the boat in, who does this, who does that. So chemistry goes a long way, and that's why you guys are so great at what you do. So Lance, tournament night starts. You guys take off. You put the boat in. You got the lights on, things are starting to roll. You kind of can get a sense of how things are going to be going after you might have popped a couple of fish, you get them in the boat. How did the night go for you? Was it kind of like a slower night? Because I know some big 20 tournaments can be pretty darn slow where you don't even get 20 fish. How was your night going for the Muzzy?
Well, out of the gate, I'm going to say the first quarter was probably the slowest.
Okay.
And, you know how it is. It seems like always tournament night is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
So we wasn't too shook, but we did have to make some adjustments. We normally have a plan and we stick to it because, we we try to time our nights. We did have to kind of free flow our moves, basically. We kind of reunited or basically had a team talk and said, hey, looking at time-wise, we may need to change a few things. And we did, and it kind of went in our favor. From then on, the night kind of heated up.
Oh, that's good.
I felt like it kept getting better, to be honest, especially your upper fish. It seemed like they came up later that night. We did, and I'll be straight up. Talking about teams, Gunner was on fire. He was shooting great, and we put him in the hot seat. Noah and I mean, we wasn't shooting just flat horrible, but we wasn't near as consistent. So Gunner, man, he was putting fish in the boat. So we put him in the hot seat, and he was stacking. But we lost a few good fish. Man, a lot of fish were really deep. And you know how it is, no matter what setup you have. And I feel like we work on that to put everything in our favor, and we still lost a few good fish, and it always hurts. But
yes.
I'm sure we're not the only team. I know I heard a lot of people saying that it was kind of unordinary, the amount of fish they were losing, and I'm sure the depth of the level the fish were at were a lot of that problem.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Lance, you've come back to a lot of tournaments, placed very highly, won a lot of tournaments. Coming back to weigh-ins, are you guys feeling confident? Is that little feeling way down deep in your gut that says, you know what, we're going to do pretty good? Is that still present, even though you've done it for so long?
We know. I mean, we had a feeling it was going to be very tight. We felt like we were going to be competitive. But, they had opened up Grassies. That was one thing in the back of our mind. Usually I think they cut it off at, there was a 5 cap on the Grassies.
Mm-hmm.
So with them opening that up, knowing that somebody, may have a Grassie hole that they could go get 20 of them, that was definitely on our mind. And there were some guys that we spoke with that it sounded like if, they had a little bad luck, but they could have done some damage. I think they had some fish full off and they didn't shoot the greatest, but they were on some really good Grassies. So they were obviously a threat. They just fell a little short.
Sure.
But that was in the back of our minds. And the descaling boys, especially on them waters, they're a very tough team. We knew that we'd have to have our ducks in a row to beat them, and it was a tight race. But, yeah, I mean, we were definitely had the jitters coming back. And you know how it is. You always get a few phone calls. You're kind of hearing some weights. And, the more people we talked to, the better we were feeling because we hadn't heard nothing, that we thought was way above what we had. And that was something else. We pushed it so close on time that we had no time to weigh any fish. We don't shoot. We typically don't target buffalo. So when you haven't held them and weighed them, very often we wouldn't exact sure on our weights. We ended up being pretty close on what we thought we had. But you know what I mean? Sometimes you can big eye them and you think you got something. You get there and start putting them on a scale, and then that ground shrinkage hit. So that had us nervous too. So. Yeah, the ride home was definitely nerve-wracking.
Right.
Or the ride back to the tournament, I should say.
Because I know, back in the days when I was shooting tournaments, you're getting all these text messages, little phone calls or whatever from other teams. How do you guys do? What do you guys do? We did this. We didn't do this. So it's always that game of, are they lying to me? Are they BSing me? Are they telling me the truth,
Yeah. Everyone you hear, and you may think you have, you're kind of high fiving behind the scenes. You hate it for them, you know how it feels. But
Yeah,
you're like, all
right.
escape that one.
Right, exactly. Yep. So, Lance, moving forward now, next up is the BAA Worlds at the end of July. This is like anything goes as far as fish, from saltwater to freshwater fish. Any game plans made up for that yet, Lance, or how you feeling about the Worlds?
We're negotiating. I've never been shark fishing before. I don't know what we're going to do. we've been talking it out. It's going to be, man. That's one thing, I guess, as a competitor, you kind of want to look and what are the biggest fish you think is going to be brought in, and how to play the game to match that weight, or to join them on that type fish. And I don't know what to think. I mean, I don't know what we're going up against, to be honest. It's going to be exciting to see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows what's going to be brought in? Anything from a giant gator guard to a stingray to a shark. I don't have a clue.
Exactly. You know, do you play your game, or do you try to play a different game?
Right.
You know, that's what it comes down to. Yeah. Are you willing to maybe change up everything that you've ever known and everything that you've ever done in your whole life to change it up? Do
you dance with the girl you took to the prom, or try to go get a prettier girl while you're there?
Yeah, that's a decision we're going to have to make. But I want to say more than likely we'll just stick to what we know. But it is exciting to kind of venture and talk to them. We're going to have our fillers out and see what we can do.
Good.
See what the best odds are.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, this next question, Lance, we get asked it all the time. We figured we'd give it over to you just to see. People are always wondering, have you made any upgrades or changes to your boat this year?
We've done a little bit of stuff. We actually went with some new lights, Fox Pro lights. They kind of been helping us out. We're pretty happy with them.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, we're pretty well just trying to keep it running. The main thing, keeping it maintained. when you run much as we do, sometimes it's a job just keeping them greased and serviced and on the road.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, keeping on the trend of this year, Lance, what's the biggest fish you've shot so far this year?
I'm going to say this year I'm about an 85-pound big head.
Wow.
Wow. Very nice.
That's a tanker.
Yep.
I think Gunner and Nora won. I think it was Gunner. Gunner shot a little over 90 this year. That's a pretty good size fish.
Jeez. That's a tank.
That's insane. Wow.
That's pretty cool.
And you were asking about the boat, man. I did re-wrap the boat. We re-wrapped that. I didn't mention that.
Oh, nice. Yep. You got the old AMS decal on there.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah, we got the AMS. Got it fixed up, cleaned up, and trying to look like somebody anyhow.
That's cool. You also, I believe it was like 2 weeks ago, somebody wanted you to take them out and go do some bow fishing for a big head. And I think that person was who was that person, Lance?
He even took his personal best. That
yeah, right.
We were kind of proud of the legend of Big Head himself. Get to shoot one of his personal best. That was a pretty exciting night.
Right.
Mr. Dennis Stratton.
Yes, that's awesome. Very cool.
That was very cool. I believe it was 2015, Lance. I was down there filming with Dennis and stuff, and at that time, that day, he had shot his biggest big head right there below the dams. And then I was with him the next time he shot his biggest big head. That was when the three of us were together, and we went out, and I shot that 82 or something like that night. And then Dennis had shot at 73 or something like that. And now you just took him out a couple weeks ago, and he shot. What did that thing weigh, Lance?
Man, was it 86, Matt? Did he tell? I can't. It's all kind of blended. I know it was his personal best.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yes, yep. I know it was in the 80s. It was in the 80s.
It was in the 80s. I can't. I don't want to lie for sure.
Yep.
But I know it was his personal best, and it was a fun night. You know, we normally never have time to actually go shoot fish for fun, and we was able to get together, and that was a pretty epic night. We got cut short with the weather that night, but we still had enough time to So Dennis shoot that fish, of course.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. He enjoys bow fishing with you. He enjoys your success. Dennis, it's kind of like you are part of his crew, you know.
And Dennis has been a big mentor from the start. I mean, he kind of, you know how it is. You don't get in tight with Dennis very easy, and with time we become good friends, and he's more or less like a grandpa to me. Right.
Yeah. I just was looking at the post, and it was 81 pounds.
81. Okay,
on
gotcha.
That big head.
81.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It was a giant fish.
Yes, that's a tanker. I see you had to have Gunner help him hold that up because I don't know if Dennis was able to hold that fish.
Yeah, he was telling us that he had to have him hold it. Yep.
I think he could have, but we went ahead and volunteered because, you know, Denny, he don't cut nothing, no slack. We don't leave him down in his back or
That's
something.
right. Yeah. So, Lance, getting into our last question here. All right. You've got a wife. You've got kids. You've got Muddy Flats store. You've got the pressure washing company. You've got dog trekking. You've got tournaments. When the heck does Lance Brantley sleep? My goodness gracious.
It's not very much. And then the bad part is when I need to be, I'm thinking about something else.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness.
That's insane.
That is. That's crazy.
It definitely keeps, my adventures keeps everybody busy, I think, in my crew anyhow.
Wow.
Yes,
Yep. So on a side note there, Lance, Muddy Flats is right in between down there by the tailwaters. How is the store going for you?
Man, it's really starting to pick up.
Good.
You know, we had, of course, like everywhere in the world, I feel like right now, you know, in the spring we had so much rain that really, you know, they kept the gates open at the dam. Being 3 miles from Barkley, obviously we get a lot of traffic that head to the dams, and this year they've been open so much it slowed us down out of the gate.
Okay.
But recently it's really picked up, and people are starting to get out and shoot fish.
Yeah.
It's good to see.
Right. I do want to end on kind of a funny note here, Lance. I happened to drive by your shop. You were gone. You were out scouting for the Muzzy. I drive by you know where I'm going with this already. I drive by the store, and I look over at the store, and I see a big black tarp hanging there.
Over where a window should be.
And I called you up, I think, and we were talking a little bit there. What was the purpose of that black tarp hanging on your storefront there, Lance?
Well, after being up about 48 hours, I think it was, they were pretty close to it. Within 48 hours, I had very few hours of sleep. I'm going to go ahead and say that. But as I was watching my mirror back in the boat up to the store, I got a little tight on that window's probably a 6x8 or something. And that was not a very good sound as a prop went through the glass.
Oh, man. Dang.
Yeah. And that's another on my to-do list. Probably next week at this point. I got to go fix that.
Oh, my goodness. The store's still open, though, right?
Yeah. It actually, I got lucky. It kind of knocked the corner out, so it didn't just expose the whole area, but we had to kind of rig it up for now, and I got to get back and take care of that.
Oh, my goodness.
Man.
From shooting giant biggest to backing into the glass windows, huh?
Yep.
It's all part of the game. When
smashing
smashing
the competition and his own windows.
It's part of the fun, but I guess at least I'm glad I didn't run my lower unit into the block wall, because that probably wouldn't have been good.
No. Right.
Well, that's cool. Well, Lance, we're going to let you get back to business back there. We thanks for taking some of your time and joining us here on the Bowfishing Buzz. We wish you guys the best of luck moving forward. Noah, Gunner, yourself, Lance Brantley. We wish you the best of luck at Worlds this year, and then, of course, the Cajun 8. So maybe we'll be able a chance to talk to you at the end of the season here and see how your final season went there. But best of luck moving forward to you guys, Lance. We wish you the best, and keep bringing in them giant fish, buddy.
All right, guys. You be careful.
All right. Perfect. Take care, Lance.
Thanks, Lance. We'll see you.
Thanks.
There. Cool. That's awesome. Little update from our good buddy.
That's right.
Storied career already, Lance Brantley.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So, yeah.
Can you feel the tension in the air right now?
It's time for BAA Records.
We haven't done these in a while.
No.
I'm glad they're back.
Yeah.
I missed the jingle.
You missed the old jingle there.
Yep. Kick us off there, Matt.
Congrats to Zachary Wilkinson on his BAA World and Alabama State record snook, weighing in at 10.8 pounds.
Wow, very nice. Once again, congrats to Zachary Wilkerson with his BAA Alabama State record ladyfish,
Whoa.
weighing 2.2 pounds.
Wow. Zachary Wilkinson isn't done yet. How about a BAA Alabama State record hard head catfish, weighing in at 2.8 pounds?
Wow, that's awesome. Congrats again to Zachary Wilkerson. No, just kidding. Oh, man. Congrats to Jamie Carroll with his BAA South Carolina State record American Eel, weighing 2.2 pounds. That's very cool. Let's see a picture of that bad boy.
Next, we have Luke Chalk with his BAA Michigan State record Big Mouth Buffalo, tipping the scales at 30.6 pounds.
Nice.
Now, Luke shot this buff, according to the certificate, on May 9th.
Okay.
That's very important moving into your next fish.
Gotcha. Why do we mention that date? Because on May 17th, Jacob Jenkins shot a BAA Michigan State record Big Mouth Buffalo, weighing in at 31.5 pounds. Wow. Oh, my gosh. He had 8 days of glory.
8 days of glory, old Luke did. It was his 30.6, and he gets beat by a 31.5.
Oh, he gets beat by 0.9.
Jacob Jenkins. How about that?
I guarantee you that Luke has been on the water since then.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to find a 31.6 pounder. That's funny. That's funny. That's good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
We're not done yet, Smitty.
Oh, I always forget this because you don't put it in my agenda. Oh. Oh.
Let's get ready to rumble! Get ready for fish that you wish. This fish comes to us from the first state in the nation to make Christmas an official holiday in 1863. The first rocket to put humans on the moon was built in this state, and some iconic foods include boiled peanuts, pecan pie, grits, fried catfish, and gooey butter cake.
Texas.
There is no NFL team in this state.
Dang it.
But their college team would definitely beat up on the Chicago Bears and Dallas Cowboys. Roll Tide!
Bama, baby.
I'm talking the great state of Alabama. This fish was shot October 19th, 2017 by Will Phillips. With a length of 65 inches, this long-nosed gar bounced the scales at a hefty 40.3 pounds.
Oof.
And that's
a fish you wish you shot. Me, oh my. What did you say the length was on that gar?
65.
Oh, my God. That's insane.
In 2017. Now,
Wow.
the reason that I brought that up, Schmitty,
Why'd you bring it up, Matt?
because the Worlds is in Alabama.
Absolutely.
Now,
That
I
makes
know you can
total
go
sense.
anywhere else and that you want to shoot fish, but there's a target for you.
Absolutely. Yep.
40.3 pound long nosed gar. There's a target for you.
Yeah.
This record's been on for a while by Will Phillips, 2017.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's a heck of a fish.
Wow.
You totally, you got so excited that you said that a little zesty. You said, now why did I say Alabama?
Why did I say Alabama?
Speaking of, you need to put the video of you throwing left-handed on the podcast.
Oh, God, no. No.
Oh, it's good, man. It's freaking hilarious. I love that video. No.
I can't do that because we're in private property.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yep, never
yeah.
mind. So I don't know how to do that. Oh, it is funny, though. Okay.
Oh, boy. Well, there it is, Schmitty.
Episode 104.
In the books.
Yep.
Citations, tournaments,
Lance Brantley.
paddlefish that swims 930 miles.
Crazy episode. We're all over the place.
Lots of bowfishing time left here,
Oh,
Schmitty.
absolutely.
Lots of beautiful days. Lots of big fish can be shot. Get out there. Enjoy the wonderful sport of bowfishing that we all love.
Yep.
EMS Bowfishing, American-made products made right here in good old Wisconsin.
Yep. Central Wisconsin. Same with Megamouth.
Absolutely.
Huge thanks to our great sponsors, Efficiency Bowfishing Lights by Outdoor Innovations USA, and Designs Leatherwork and Embroidery, and Painted Arrow for the podcast today.
Absolutely. Thank you all for listening. And all of us here at Amos Bowfishing wish you the best of luck. And remember, aim low.
Think big. Thanks for listening, guys.